Hola, hola, hola. Welcome to another episode of Mujer de Éxito, Unbounded, Woman of Success Without Limits. I am Marty Angel, your host for this podcast. Soy Marty Angel, su anfitriona para este podcast, este show. Let me tell you, there are no coincidences why you're here today listening to this. Remember, this message came to you because you're supposed to listen to it. No hay coincidencia que ustedes están escuchando este mensaje hoy. Y me da mucho gusto de que estén aquí. I am really happy that you are here. Just remember that this is a podcast, entrepreneurial podcast, where we share stories of women, mujer-preneurs, that have gone from surviving to thriving and more. Entrepreneurial roller coaster is what we're all on. Siempre estamos aquí para compartir las historias de éxito de todas nuestras mujeres. Mujer-preneur, you have come to the right place, and I'm so excited for today's show. But first,
festivals, football, flannels. Some say fall is their favorite time of year. And this fall, there are now updated COVID-19 booster shots designed to help protect against COVID-19 variants. If you've had your primary series, schedule an updated COVID-19 booster shot appointment as soon as you're eligible. And don't forget to enjoy the foliage. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
welcome, welcome. So today's episode, like I said earlier, welcome to Mujer de Éxito Unbounded, another awesome, amazing episode. We're so glad you're here. Gracias por estar aquí. Today, I am very excited because I get to interview Liz Urbina, who is from Diet-Free Conscious Eating, and she's a coach, and she's got an amazing story to tell us today. And I'm just really excited, and it hits home because in my previous life, I was a professor of the science of nutrition and the science of the cell and all of that. So did that all through college, and still have a current practice of functional diagnostic nutritionist practice. And she is a wealth of information. I'm so happy to have her here. She's a mujer-preneur, and we together are going to unpack some things, and you're going to hear her story from going from, it's going to be raw and real, going from surviving to thriving to succeeding. And this is an amazing opportunity. Welcome. My name is Marty Angel. I am your host for Mujer de Éxito Unbounded. Let's get to it. A ver, Liz, I'm so happy. Liz, tell us a little bit about your history. I know that you are by profession, you are an engineer, but something happened along the way, and now you're a diet-free conscious eating coach. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And puedes hablar en inglés o en español, y puedes mezclar las dos. This is a bilingual podcast.
Super, super fun, muy divertido. Gracias, Marty, por tenerme aquí. Thank you very much. I really appreciate having this opportunity to be here with you today. And I am an engineer of profession with a master in science in engineering. And 3 years ago, I pivoted from a 22-year career into this conscious eating coaching. I founded the Diet-Free Conscious Eating Academy, and created an amazing program for women over 40 to really help them transform their relationship with food and make eating consciously like a fun part of their life instead of feeling like another diet or feeling like they are restricting themselves. Like make it really a fundamental part of their life. And they have seen amazing results like I just did. Like you said, yes, I had my own story of health challenges. About 15 years ago, I was not the person who I am right now. I am 45 years old now, and I feel amazing. I am super energetic. I love being outdoors, being active. And that was not the case 15 years ago when I was 20 pounds overweight. I was struggling with my energy. Like I was surviving on 3 and 4 coffees a day. And I also had this acne, chronic acne on my face, on my chest, on my shoulders. And that really took away from my self confidence, from my it made me anxious and self-conscious, cuando uno se siente que no está confortable en uno mismo, ¿sabes? Y entonces empieza inclusive a evitar relacionarse socialmente con otras personas por culpa de eso. That was my life. Like I was literally avoiding social engagement because of that, because of those things. But what really took me down was that I was diagnosed with unexplained infertility at the age of 34.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
that was devastating, honestly, at a point in my life when I was ready, like I was settled in a new country with a great job, and my son was at that time 4 years old. And I was like, I always wanted to have 3 children of my own. And all of a sudden realizing that was not going to happen, it was like my entire world collapsed right in front of me. And we tend to believe that all of those signs and symptoms that our body is esa es una de las cosas que me encanta hacer ver a las personas, que nuestro cuerpo es tan inteligente, y nos manda tantas señales, y we tend to ignore those signs, we tend to numb those signs, tomamos medicaciones o comemos mucho o nos enfocamos en la televisión o en el teléfono, ¿verdad? Y entonces tendemos a ignorar esas señales que nuestro cuerpo nos manda, y así estaba yo. Y también tendemos a pensar que son una separada de la otra, que no tienen nada que ver. We tend to believe that those signs and symptoms that we experience in our body are independent, are not related. And what I realized, what I learned in my experience is that all of those signs and symptoms that I had, from the acne to the bloating to the low energy and the overweight, had the same root cause than my infertility. That was like the biggest realization for me. And the second realization was that the root cause was associated with my choices from what I was eating, what I was drinking, how I was living the past 10 years before that. Like, we don't realize that what our choices of today are literally determining our future, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I tell that to my kids all the time. Remember, the choices you make in your 20s will show up in your 30s And
Yes.
what you do in your 30s will show up in your 40s, and what you do in your 40s is going to hit you hard in your 50s, and so it goes, you know. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
and
right.
the more we age, the harder it hits, right? That's the problem.
Tell me about it. See, I know.
Yeah. So the all of those real so and another thing that I always bring up, and I the more I talk to people, the more I talk to my clients, the more I talk to other people who struggle with some sort of chronic disease, because for me it was that infertility and all of those other signs. For other people is diabetes, is high blood pressure, is high cholesterol, is heart disease, even cancer, right? And so one of the things we all have come to an agreement is that most in the conventional, let's say in the conventional medicine or health system, none of us, including me, were asked, how are you eating? How is your diet?
And yeah, that's so true. I believe that. I'm a two-time cancer survivor. I'm right there with you. I'm, being having a nutritional practice. Yeah, nobody that, and that has to do with also being a college professor. I can tell you that the students that are in the nursing program and in the medical program, it's not written in their curriculum to have a full nutritional set of courses. They have hours of, the doctors, if you're on a med program, you get 11 hours, 11 hours of nutrition. Okay. There's zero pharmaceutical, zero nutraceutical. And so I hear you. And the nurses, they at least get one or maybe two courses. That's it.
Yeah,
So
and so yeah, so I find that it's not their fault, right?
no, it's not. It's not.
It's a systemic problem. It's like how things work, and we are paying the consequences, right?
Marketing, mama, marketing. I think it's all marketing because, the big, the fast food chains, they know how to get, I mean, they make the food look so good when you're watching television and all of that, right? So
Yeah.
it's a systemic marketing issue until we start allowing the marketing to stop glamorizing fast food.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, the other part, because I find a lot of people get frustrated, anxious, and they, like, we are our own self-critics, right? And so we hit ourselves hard every time we fall for things that we know are not good for us. That it's like
Mhm.
we don't have the willpower to. And so I always say to people, look, our environment matters so much. And we are living in a world that normalizes and encourages the consumption of all of those foods, right? Highly processed, super tasty, craveable, and also that are even, I would say, addictive,
Yeah.
addictive
Oh, yeah.
foods. And so it's like, and the food industry is taking advantage of that, right?
Mhm.
They are putting all of the engineers that actually have one position called the bliss engineers, and they come up with the perfect combination of sweet and salty and crunchy and all of those things that they know like burst our brain and our taste buds with those happy hormones, right? Give us those hikes so that we eat more of those things.
Yeah.
And it's like, now the good news is we can break free from that. And
Yes.
that is what I feel is my mission. Help
Okay.
people see that they can break free from that extreme of over consuming all of those highly processed foods that are impairing our body from functioning properly, and also breaking free from the other extreme, which is those diets that are super restrictive, that make people feel so bad and are actually some of them not healthy, some of them not sustainable, right? So there is a middle point, people. There is a middle point where you can find the health and
The
the
happiness.
happiness and the yes, there is. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not about never eating those things that you like ever again. It's not about that.
Nope.
And it's all about balance, right? And
Yes.
understanding what where where to make the adjustments, right? And that
Right.
is what your work, part of your work is with those tests, because everyone is different. Everybody is different. And so we all respond differently to different stimulus, right?
Right.
And that is the other part that I do, which is helping them. Okay, this is what is good for you. Let's put it together.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is so needed because do you do courses like that? Do you do courses that help people? Like, let's say, for instance, let's say somebody comes to you with a list of foods, right? And they're like, okay, I have this list of foods. I'm not supposed to eat these. I got to eat these. How do I do it? Is that what you do? Do you have courses?
I do give workshops and
Oh, there you go.
trainings, and I
Uh-huh.
put courses. And in my program, in the program that I offer for women over 40, it's all about that. It's all about
Wow.
understanding, okay, what are the best protein choices for you? What are the best carbohydrates? Because there's so many misconceptions. We have to avoid carbs. You know, they are the enemy. They are gonna make us fat and all that. And it's like, wait, no, it's
I
not like that. You know?
I call it the gym food talk, right?
Yeah,
Because at the gym, everybody who goes to the gym is an expert in food, right? And so, and I know this because I love the sauna, right? So I go into the sauna and I'm just really quiet and I love to listen because that's how I learn most about people, by just being quiet and listening. And I hear so many people, say so many bad things, and other people that are listening take it for, you know, for what would I call it? Take it for the gospel, right? Oh, my friend said that I shouldn't have this, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, here's people, sharing things that, like, for instance, let me give you an example. I know for a fact that chemically, if you have if you're in adrenal fatigue, you should not be eating spinach, kale, and a couple other foods, right? If you're in adrenal fatigue, and many people are walking around with adrenal fatigue that don't know they have it. Okay. And if you give a person who's got adrenal fatigue kale and spinach, you are actually going to send them into stage 3 adrenal fatigue. And so yet people are saying, no, eat your greens. You've got to eat more kale. You've got to eat more spinach. And they could technically be hurting themselves by eating something that society says is healthy, general.
Mm.
And so that's it's like people, that's why I call it the I ask people when they do that, oh, so this was a gym food resume that you conversation you overheard and things like that. So do you go through, let me ask you this,
Mhm.
when they're in your
Mhm.
program, and do you go through like different like myths and things like that,
Yes. I go over a lot of myths. One of my favorite ones is the protein myth, right? Like, we all should be eating a lot of protein, and that is going to make us lean and strong. And a lot of people, what a lot of people don't know is about we can overconsume protein too.
Yes. Yes.
And that overconsumption of protein, particularly if it's from meats, from animal-based proteins, that leads to inflammation,
Yeah.
and
And
that can
kidney.
lead to kidney damage.
Yes.
Exactly. So so a lot of the diet, and that's one of the things I say, a lot of the diets out there are making people, leading people to eat, pounds of meat and fat, which is not the healthiest fat, every day. And they start seeing some results, but there's a point where they start seeing things in retrograde, right? And
Right.
they
Right.
start feeling like not great, and their cholesterol goes up, and they start having problems peeing. And guess what? All of that is because of that overconsumption of protein. So that is one of the biggest ones that I put out there because, yeah.
So how long is your program and that you offer? Is it like a 6 month program? Is it a year program? What is that?
So my signature program is a 6 months, and 6 months literally is the minimum time I find
Yes.
is necessary for someone to really start changing their mindset.
Yes.
Start changing their mindset, because it's not about, like I always tell people, following a recipe is easy, and you can find tons of recipes, right? Even though another say, I think you put healthy recipes on Google and you get a lot of things that are not that healthy,
Hmm.
but assuming they are, right? Like that is the easy part. The difficult part is really start thinking differently about your food, about how you are around food, about how do you enjoy your food. And that is where I invite people to really start eating like they love themselves. Not just for the sake of eating or for the pleasure of eating, but also for as an act of love to
Right.
themselves.
That's so beautiful. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I was also a professor of yoga. I'm a yoga therapist.
Mm.
I've got my degree from Loyola Marymount University. I have conducted semi-private, yoga healing retreats. And one of the things that I incorporate there, that's critically important because it's part of one of the, 8 steps of yoga, is what we call mindful eating. And you can't do mindful eating if you're chatting, if you're reading. And so so what I do, and it's so hard for people, I'll have them take a raisin or something small or a grape or a strawberry, or right, or a blueberry, and they have to be blindfolded, and then they put it in their mouth and they must chew it 25 times or more, and within those 25 times they've got to be feeling the food, and emoting the food and what's happening in their body. And so we are so we are so disconnected from our body when that food goes in. So mindful eating is about really paying attention about, okay, I ate this, 2 hours later I feel like I'm falling asleep, and that connection is important,
Yeah.
right? And but
Yes.
speaking is also, take away the, I do a vipassana, 10 days of no speaking, and
Mm.
that will change the way you eat too.
Nice. I love it. I love it.
So tell me a little bit about so you actually decided, when did you decide to start this as a business? And what was that? I heard that it was, the turning point. I know what made you go from, to conscious eating coach, but tell me a little bit about the business for somebody that's out there that maybe, because it's okay to have a whole bunch of nutritionists. It's okay to have, there's enough for everybody. I'm of the mindset that there is enough for everybody. I'm not the only business coach out there. I may not be great for you. So if somebody else wants to be a coach, what were the steps that you took? What happened? What happened in your mindset that said, okay, I'm going to do this?
I love this question, Marty. And it's, yeah, being an engineer for so long and a successful engineer, I loved what I was doing. I loved the security, I loved the income. I love the challenges and the teamwork part of it. Like, it was amazing. I worked my last 11 years of career. I was working in the largest oil and gas company in Canada, which was like the dream job. So I guess for me, I had all of that, but at some point I started feeling like, okay, this is awesome. I love it, but what is my legacy? What am I doing to help others? I started questioning what was the purpose of my life. And this was like a process for me until covid hit and that really gave me the time and the space to reconsider and rethink what I was doing in my life. For I know, I understand, and I you know I feel for all of those people who suffered from the COVID, from the pandemic. And then, but for me, really, it was a blessing. And during that time, I read three books that literally changed my life. So if you're someone who's considering changing careers, change or starting a business, these three books, oh my goodness, were the ones who made me decide to start taking action even when I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
So the books are Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hills.
That's an old book. Been there. Okay.
Yeah. Second was Finding Meaning in an Imperfect World. And that's
Okay.
from Ido Lando, I think it's pronounced. And the third one was the Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do something, because the number one regret was living a life that for others, living a life that was good for others, but was not good for you.
Oh, okay.
And so I feel like we tend to believe that we have to have everything figured out
Mm,
in order to
mm,
start something, in order to
mhm,
start taking action.
mhm.
And one of the things I would tell to anyone considering starting a business, is start right away with what you've got, with what you think you have to do. Of course, finding mentorship and finding guidance is key. That was like the first thing for me. I didn't even have, like, I did have a Facebook account, but it was private. I didn't even use it. I was like zero ground on social media, on YouTube, or any of that. Like, I had a LinkedIn account because that was my professional profile.
Mhm.
you know but other than that, I had no clue. So one of the things I knew is I wanted location freedom. I wanted to be able to do whatever I wanted to do from wherever I was. So I knew it had to be online. So that was the first thing, and that's when I started looking for mentorship and guidance on that area, because I didn't know what to do. And the first thing I heard from many of the gurus, online marketing gurus out there, was, well, you have to start some sort of community and you have to start making videos. And that's what I did. I created a Facebook group that is called the Conscious Eating Tribe for Women Over 40. And I started doing 10 to 15 minutes live videos in there weekly. Like, I was freaking out with fear. I was like not really knowing what I was doing, but I did it. And I'm so proud I did it, you know?
Yes.
I'm so
Right.
happy I did it, even though I have the fear. And the other thing that I think is could be helpful for anyone out there wanting to start an online business like this is that it is a challenge not only navigate through our own fears and our own negative mindset, self-doubt, and all of those things, but also sometimes is our environment negativity, and also our environment's uh, feedback, because they might not understand our vision. They definitely, for me, nor my family, nor my friends, colleagues, like, all of them thought I was losing my mind. Like, what is happening to you?
You're
Right?
yes, you're leaving the corporate world to do what?
Exactly. And it was like, okay, so navigating through that is not easy alone. So my best advice is find a mentor and find a community that gets you,
Right.
that can hold that vision with you and for you when you are not strong enough to hold it, because that's going to happen. That happened to me, and I'm so thankful I found that a place like that, like in a space like that.
Right. And that's so important because the old adage, teamwork makes the dream work, right? It's the same thing, and the nuances of becoming that entrepreneur, right? And being that somebody said to me, "Oh, well, being Latina has, I think, in my opinion, and with many people that actually have come onto my podcast, being Latina helps us be entrepreneur. Why? And here's where I'm going to get a little bit, I'm going to ruffle some feathers here, but what happens is that we were not given that white privilege, that
Mhm.
that privilege where you're white, it's who you know or whatever, and let's pull you in, and here many of us had to struggle, had to work hard, had to go out there and prove ourselves in order to be accepted in the corporate world, in the education world, in a job world. And those skills are the ones that make us strong, resilient, entrepreneurial, chingona Latinas. It's that. That's what,
Me encanta eso.
that. I mean, it's like it innately, it's our struggle that has made us successful.
Yes.
That's what I think. What do you think?
100%. Totalmente de acuerdo contigo, Marty. Sí, o sea, yo trabajo desde que tengo 15 años y
Mhm.
tuve que ir a la universidad trabajando y cuidando a mi hermana menor y, o sea, ha sido así forever. Like, I've been working since I'm 15 years old, and I had to go to school while working, graduated even within the first uh, with the first GPAs and all that stuff, and got my master's degree while working with having a small
a
child
family.
and a family, right? Like in a different country. So it's like all of those things that have put me on my knees, including my infertility, have been my strength and
Right.
are my strength now. So
And you are extremely successful. I see you out there, you're the champion, you're the conscious eating coach, and I see you out there and you're doing things, and that's the beauty, is that you're helping people. And one of the things that that brings all of us together, and I think brings you onto my podcast, is that we have those values. We are servant leaders, right? And somos servidoras, nos gusta ayudar a la gente, right? And that's how we come
sí.
together. And that's, I think, that is critically important. And I see on your mission is to help others see a better way. I mean, see that, so many people come to me and say, oh my God, um, I can't eat this and I can't eat that. And I always say, do the 80-20 rule. If 80% of the time you're okay, and then 20%, I mean, we're human, right? And it's like people always ask me, oh my God, are you? No, but there are things that I do and things like that. And I'm sure that people ask you all the time when they say, oh my God, are you like 100%?
Yeah. And I'm not. I say it all the time. I say exactly what you just said. 80-20 is the best rule ever invented. And doing 80% of the time the right thing is going to make the other 20% not matter at all.
Right.
So, and perfection is not needed, which is the beauty of this.
Yeah.
Perfection. And I feel that when people give them, like I had this client, Latina client, by the way. She's Mexican and she loves her tacos and her chilies and all that stuff. And when she came to me, she's like, oh my gosh, I have this party on Saturday and all my friends are going to be there and there's going to be so much food, delicious food that I love. And I'm not going to be able to control myself. And I'm like, relax. First thing you're going to do before going to your party is eat something good at home so that you're not starving, right? So that
and
you're not.
and drink water, drink water.
And
people
drink water.
people devalue the importance of being hydrated. Uh, when you're dehydrated, your body, your mind, it plays mind games on you and makes you think that you're hungry, but you're really really not satiated, right?
Yes, 100%. So anyway, long story short, she gave, and the second thing I told her is, and then you go there and you're gonna be like a chef. You're gonna take small bites, small little pieces of things, and you're gonna enjoy those things. Like, this is like the most delicious thing I have ever tasted, and you're gonna enjoy it, and then you're gonna feel satisfied, and it's gonna be okay. No big deal. So she went and she had a lot of fun. She drank a lot of water. She had little bits and pieces of delicious foods, and she was so happy. She texted me the next day saying, Liz, this is awesome. I feel great. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel bloated. I don't feel this and that. And I had fun. So when people give themselves permission, it's like you release that pressure and mental pressure, and then people actually make better choices.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and you hit a key thing. I want to share that you hit the key thing. So let me tell you a little story about me. So when I was little, I used to watch this show called The Galloping Gourmet. He was a chef, and one of the very first chefs that I knew of was on TV. He would cook his food, and then he would serve his, you could see that it wasn't like, not supersized, but it was there. And he would take a bite, and in front of the camera, and he would just, I can taste this in it, and I could taste that in it. And then I remember being young and going like, he's talking about tasting the garlic he put in it,
Yeah.
the pepper and all this other stuff. And I'm thinking, I'm going to try that, see if I can taste it. And so watching that show, I would do the same. I would fix my stuff and I would come over and then I would, and my mom would say, "Ya no vas a comer?" And I would say, "Oh, no, I'm full now." Right? Because I learned to chew, I learned to taste, and it was like, oh, wow. And to this day, I enjoy eating. People look at me and go, "Oh my God, you don't eat." And I'm going like, "Oh no, you don't understand. I enjoy cooking. I'm recently I'm going to be finally upgrading and taking a house and rebuilding it, and I'm going to have a chef's kitchen because I love
Ooh.
cooking. I love cooking. People think I don't eat. No, mandre. I love cooking. And the newest thing is like at my old age, all of a sudden I'm a one drink kind of person, and I drink once, maybe twice a month. But now every weekend I have to have at least 4 ounces of red wine. And now I'm becoming a wine taster. Just,
That's so fun. Yes.
but you're like you said, people have to taste the food.
Yes.
Taste the food. They eat without tasting the food. And people look at me like
Yeah.
I'm crazy. Like, what do you mean I'm not tasting the food? Right? You're shoveling it in. You're not tasting it.
Yeah.
That,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
my husband, let me just share a story and then I have another question for you. So my husband, he has learned to eat, and and he's 6 foot, and he's slender for his, and he vacillates between 195 and 200 pounds, which is pretty good for him. But we've been married for 40 years, so it's like he's had 40 years of practice. People always wonder how he stays so thin, and it's like, because I've been working with him and teaching him how to taste his food,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
people don't know how to taste food. They don't know how to enjoy the food. You said it. You hit it right there.
Yes, and it's so
So,
important. People don't realize that that is actually part of our digestion,
yes.
and that we start assimilating vitamins and nutrients right from there, right
You
from, and we start sending signals from our brain to our stomach
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we don't need to eat more. We are now satisfied. We have enough nutrients, particularly if the food that we're eating is
Good food,
nutritious,
right?
right?
Whole food, what I
Yes.
call whole food,
Yes.
because some people are like, "Oh, but whole food is, I think, the word." I have
Yes.
another question for you. When you were young, when you
Mhm.
were a little girl, what were you overweight? Was there an issue with eating that you think of, or tell us a little bit about that?
So I have never been obese. I have always been active. I love sports. So I think that helped me to stay, you know, lean-ish,
Okay.
even when I was not eating properly, even when my diet was not whole and nutritious. Um, but I did. gained a lot of weight. Like I was 20 pounds overweight when I left my country, because one of the things I say is back in Venezuela, I mean, we eat a lot of not great food, but most of the foods that we eat are whole, are like from my grandma's backyard, from the neighbor's chicken who puts, or he has a hen that puts eggs, and so we ate the eggs from the neighbor. So it's like more traditionally grown, like old
Home.
way whole foods, right?
Right.
Less chemically processed foods, I
Right.
guess. But when I left and I went to Europe, oh my gosh, all the bread, the wine, the processed meats. I mean, and over there is still not all that bad. And then when I came to North America, holy cow, it was even worse. And
Right.
is the problem is that I was so busy, right? Like I was working full
Right.
time, being a mom, being a wife, the house, and and not like in my country. Back in Venezuela, I had someone helping me with at home with the cooking, with the cleaning, with the everything. We could do those things. But when I came to North America, that became like an impossible thing to get, right? So I had to do everything. And so it really becomes so convenient and easy to grab those foods that are not great for us. And that's the other problem, right? And so that's when I went 20 pounds overweight,
Okay.
right before trying to, like, I would say, yeah, like the 5 to 10 years before trying to have my second baby,
Right.
which never came.
Oh,
So yeah, and what people don't realize, like one of the beautiful things that I love saying is we need to flood our body with what it needs in order for it to be able to heal and regenerate, because it
right.
is designed to do that
Exactly.
with the right fuel, right?
Right. Right.
But then we think about the wrinkles on our skin and the collagen, particularly at this age, at this stage and age after 40, right? But one of the things I say, well, that's happening in the outside, but what is happening in the inside? So for
Mhm.
me, my ovaries aged like 10 years faster than they should.
Exactly. Yep.
So,
Well, yeah. Great story. Great
mhm.
story. Hey, sweetie. So, tell us a little bit about where can people find you, and do you have a website? This is amazing. You have been. I just love. I mean, we could go on and on and on, but I want. I want to be able to have people find you because you're. You're definitely something that people are looking for. Sometimes they don't even know they need you, but where can they find you?
Well, I do have, well, the best place right now is going to be my supportive community in Facebook, the Conscious Eating Tribe for Women Over 40. And that's where I go live every week with sharing this type of information, tips and tricks. And I go from live from my kitchen, share recipes, how to do things faster, so that again, those busy women out there realize that they can too find a way to incorporate this and make it part of their lives in a sustainable way.
Perfect.
So that's the first place. I also have a website, www.lizurbina.com. So there's my name, Liz Urbina, and in there, yeah, they will see a little bit of my story, of what I do, more of what I do. They will have the opportunity to book a free session with me just to see where they are at and come up with a mini plan together. What could be the next best step for them to take to start improving their way of eating. And there's also a free gift that I offer. One of the main challenges that my clients have, most of my clients have, is struggling with sugar cravings. And like I love saying, again, it's not your fault. Sugar is so addictive and it's everywhere. And so I put together a guide with 7 simple, super practical, and proven strategies that people can start using right away to break free, like to gain sugar freedom, what I call gain your sugar freedom. Enjoy your sweet treats with freedom, without worrying about the negative health effect or worrying about that you won't be able to stop once you start. It's like,
perfect.
Yeah, forget about that. So that's the 7 easy proven ways to crush your sugar cravings. So
perfect. And for all of the listeners, these links she's talking about, I will post them underneath. If you're watching us live or on the replay on YouTube, they will be in the description below. If you're listening to us, wherever you're listening to the podcast, make sure that you look below. They're in the show notes. And if you can't find it, reach out to me. I am Marty Angel everywhere. So at Marty Angel, martyangel.com, just reach out to me and I will send you her links. You can also reach out to Liz, like she said, lizurbina.com. Liz, it has been an amazing day. Thank you so much for being on this Mujer de Éxito Unbounded. You are truly la Mujer de Éxito Unbounded. I'm so, so incredibly grateful for you and for what you do. Such a needed service. Gracias, hermosa.
Oh, gracias, Marty. No, fue totalmente un placer y un honor estar aquí contigo hoy. Gracias por tenerme. Y igualmente, me encanta lo que haces y cómo nos ayudas a nosotras, mujeres emprendedoras, mujer-preneurs, to start getting up to speed and making this vision a reality for ourselves and to keep helping others, right?
Right. All right, Mija. Well, thank you so much. And as always, we are so incredibly grateful for each and every one of you, the watchers and the listeners. And make sure you listen. If you're looking at us on YouTube, her podcast will drop November 4th. Gracias y que tengan bonito día. This episode brought to you by Celavive Hydrating and Lifting Sheet Mask. The Celavive Hydrating and Lifting Sheet Mask locks in intense moisture to perfectly prime your skin for restful sleep. Apply this relaxing hydration serum several times a week to pamper yourself and radiate your healthier looking complexion. Sheet masking is all the rage right now. Make it a regular part of your healthy skincare regimen today. Celavive Hydrating and Lifting Sheet Mask. Click the link below and get yours today.